All right, hello, welcome to the Rook community meeting for January 25th, 2022. We are a little short on participants today. A couple of maintainers had other conflicts to get to, like Jared and Sebastian, but we'll go ahead with, we've got a few agenda items and I need to share my screen. Let's see, share, we get the right window here. I think got it. All right, you can see my window, I assume.
Yes.
All right, so first of all, 1.7, we did have a 1.7.11 release last Thursday. That's all done. There were a couple of fixes in there that were useful for the community. And the next 1.7 release may or may not need to happen. We're really focusing on 1.8 now. And I don't know of anything critical that needs to be backported to 1.7 currently. So we'll stay tuned on whether that one is needed in the future. For 1.8, we had also had 1.8.3 last Thursday, and then just staying with the biweekly cadence, our next .4 release would be on February 3rd. So if I look at the 1.8 board here, I spent a few minutes updating it, removing things that obviously wouldn't probably make it into 1.8 just because nobody's assigned to them. But there's still a bunch of other things in here that I'm sure will move out. They're just left them here optimistically for those who are working on them to get in the backports. But I don't think there's anything in particular here to discuss today. The work is just going on. Things are looking pretty stable. Okay. I don't know, Blaine, anything to add for 1.8?
I don't think so. I think cleaning that up was good.
Yeah, sounds good. For 1.9 then, there's nothing much of interest in the project board yet. I started making a pass on what we might do for the roadmap for 1.9. I mean, ultimately it'll be targeted for end of March or start of April after Ceph Quincy is available. And we'll see when that date comes out. But other than the support for Ceph Quincy, well, that's just the main target that has it on the calendar for that around that time. I think that's all I've got for releases. Any other questions about releases? All right. We got a few agenda items then on community topics and questions. So first of all, just to follow up on a meeting that Blaine and I had with a developer advocate from DataStax who reached out to us to talk about the Cassandra operator. He really wasn't aware of what the Rook Cassandra operator was or what its state was. So we just reviewed that and talked over it. And when we talked about their operator, because they have created their own independent operator. And so the question really that we talked about was, does it make sense for the Rook Cassandra operator to continue because there's no one currently maintaining it? And kind of the current position is, or my assumption is that they would stick with their operator that they're already working on. And we would, in Rook, just point people to that operator that they've got. So I linked it there in the agenda for Cassandra, the Cass-operator repo. Yeah, so we'll see if they get back to us on anything different, but just like we sunsetted a couple other operators like CockroachDB and Minio, we'll probably sunset the Cassandra operator as well.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I would add to that is it is nice, at least in this case, if we sunset the Cassandra operator, to have something to point users toward as a at least like something they can optionally use instead if they do come to Rook looking for Cassandra still.
Yeah, exactly. And since we separated to its own repo, now we'll just keep the repo, and we'll just, I think, make it obvious on the main README, just that, hey, go use this one instead. This one's deprecated and unsupported. So I opened an issue, which I linked from the agenda there, just basically so the community can be more aware of that plan. So yeah. Sounds good. Blaine, you have the next agenda item on Kazi?
Yeah, so I mean, regarding Cozy, which is the, aims to be kind of CSI for object storage. The design seems like it's getting pretty finalized. I've been following those meetings again. This hopefully means that they're on track for releasing alpha in Kubernetes 1.24. Once that happens, I know we would like to integrate with that. It's going to be, like, ideally, it's going to be our replacement for libbucket provisioner, which is, yeah, I mean, it's in sustaining now. Like, there are no new feature development. It is all focused on Cozy. So happy to see that moving forward.
What's the target for 124? It's still a couple, 2-3 months out, I think, right?
I think so. I thought, I just looked at the Kubernetes releases. I thought 1.23 was released in January. Well, so like earlier this month. I think that probably means it's going to be, what, 4 months, January, February, March, April, May, I guess. But there's also like the proposal needs time to be like accepted as well in Kubernetes because it is part of a CAP.
Yeah. We've been waiting for Kazi for a few releases, so hopefully they can keep it in there for 124. Sounds good. Anything else on Kazi?
I think that's all, unless there are questions.
All right, and I think that Jiffin had started on did he open a PR for that a while back? Or maybe it was just, I can't remember where but I think he was starting on it, but I don't remember where he got to, I guess.
I think so. It was just kind of a very basic proof of concept. And I think it used a lot of the primitives that we had used to implement a driver for libbucket provisioner. So, I mean, hopefully it should be pretty easy. I mean, I do have, I guess, one major thought around like what we should try to do differently with Cozy, which is to keep track of which buckets are created as a result of Cozy, and like assume that buckets that aren't like marked as such are created by users, so that we don't, like, even if like a Cozy bucket's like cleanup policy is set to delete, if it wasn't originally created by Cozy, we shouldn't delete that. But I think that's also an optimization that setting up Cozy's like effective storage classes will help kind of mitigate as well if administrators do it in the right way. So that is, I guess, based on some of the later discussions, that's something I have on my mind, that it might help us to somehow track like the origin of buckets, or at least like when the origin of a bucket is Cozy.
Sounds good. Yeah. Okay. Sounds like that's it for Kazi then.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, Sandra, welcome to the Rook community meeting. Your first time, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, it's the first time I'm joining here. I probably got in touch with some of you a couple of times already. Let me introduce myself. I'm mostly working on the OVIRT community, taking care of the virtualization project. And recently, I started also getting interested into the OKD virtualization aspects, trying to provide the community a similar experience to the one that they have in OVIRT when it comes to virtualization. And one of the steps there is providing storage, and Rook.io looks like the best storage that we can rely on. We have some kind of usability issue for the newcomers, missing an operator in the catalog for installing Rook. So just wondering, there is already a ticket in GitHub for that. It's already mentioned there that there is some work ongoing. Just checking where do we stand, if we can help getting this moving. We tested it with a manual installation on OKD, and it worked fine for us. But yeah, the experience having an operator in the catalog would really be much better.
Right. I guess well, it's good to know that at least that the manual install of Rook worked. And honestly, I think here among Rook maintainers, we're just not real familiar with the OKD catalog or the scenarios or the, we just don't see those users. So it's not that we haven't wanted to do it. It's just maybe the other things keep pulling us in priority wise. Mm-hmm. So, and maybe one question with the OKD catalog. So because there's also a downstream product like ODF that's built on Rook. So if the downstream is installed, it can be installed with OKD, right? Would that look like a duplicate entry in the catalog, or I don't even know how the catalog would look in that case.
So there's an ongoing effort. They are actually discussing this right now in the OKD documentation meeting. There is an effort for creating a new catalog which is not visible from the OpenShift side, and it will be visible only on the OKD side. So whenever we have this operator for Rook.io already, we can put it there so it won't cause confusion between upstream and downstream when it comes to installation.
Okay, so there's no worry about that, I guess, duplication in the catalog. Okay, I'd heard something about that possibility, but that's good to know. Okay. Yeah, I think the main action item or work item there then is just we need to go do the work that puts it into the catalog and publishes to the catalog each time we have a release from Rook, which, I know there's examples provided for how we can do that.
I can tell you that within the OKD virtualization effort, we have an operator, which is the hyperconverged operator, which is currently published also in the common catalog between OpenShift and OKD, and we plan to move it to the OKD one once it will be available. So if you need help with the pipeline, deploying the operator and sending it to the catalog, we can probably give an hand there. So just let us know.
Okay. Yeah. Blaine, do you have any thoughts around that? I just haven't been as involved with the packaging for OpenShift and that, but
yeah, I guess I have some questions around how like testing would work. Like if we're releasing on a different platform, it's good to test that. Like we have Helm, we test Helm charts. I know also if we're producing, an OKD catalog entry, like that should be at least, smoke tested at some point. But I think that concern can be largely left like to a detailed follow-up conversation.
Yeah, if it helps, we are kind of integrating the testing with OKD virtualization, already trying to include the Rook.io coverage there. So if the catalog will be made available at some point, we can include it in the CI flow and provide feedback on the goodness of the operator. So.
And I think I remember, as I recall, in the sample scripts or actions that were provided or been done other places. So when we automate this, a PR will be opened against the OKD catalog, and some CI validation is done at some level, right? And then it's merged automatically, or how does the merge get? Does somebody have to click merge? What was, Remy, the process around that? Yeah, or honestly, we can follow up on those details.
Yeah. The guy that is working on the test part there, Simone, is not in the meeting today, but he's open to provide feedback and contributing. So,
yeah, sounds good. Okay, yeah, we'll follow up on that and see if we can get going on that.
okay.
All right, so thanks for bringing that up today then. And then on the action items, we have a couple of things to follow up on from our last meeting to sunset the Rook Dev Google group. And then I was going to open a PR to update the roadmap doc for 1.9. Yeah, I'll do that in the next few days so we can get that done. But that's all we've got on the agenda for today. Is there anything else anybody wants to bring up? All right, going once, going twice. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank
and
you.
have a good day.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.